Hello everyone. In this short lesson we are going to be learning the basics of database. So a database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system. So the easiest way to approach databases is first of all looking at what a spreadsheet is, and then from there we can try to compare what the database improves over the spreadsheets, because they have similar concepts. So let's just look at what a spreadsheet is. So a spreadsheet is an electronic document which data is arranged in rows and columns of a grid and can be manipulated and used in calculations. So the first thing we can see here is that a spreadsheet organizes data in rows and columns, and this is the same pattern for the database, where you will see that in a table you will store the data in you will first define the fields of a table, and then you have the rows as the data you are feeding the database. So right now let's just see how a spreadsheet looks. We can see that it's just like a grid of rows and columns. So this is what we mean by columns. These are columns, and these horizontal fields, they are rows. So this is an example of a library management. Specifically, we are here storing books and storing the information of books. So we have the category, we have the title, we have the author, and the ISBN of a book. So this is a basic example of how a spreadsheet works. You can see that the data is not scattered. It's not like you can see that the data is kind of organized together, and this is the advantage of having storing data using spreadsheets. And from here is where we start to see the advantages of database after knowing how the spreadsheets work. So as you can see, we have our data stored, and basically this is how you would have your data structured. You have your columns here, and you have your rows as data. So the columns are these, and the rows are these. So from here, let's see how you can implement this example using database. So you have to download this software XAMPP, as we are going to use this software. So you just search for XAMPP, then you download the latest version, then you install it. Once installed, it will look something like this. You will have to first start the servers. Then after starting the servers, you click on this MySQL and click on admin to just open it. So now that our program is ready, now let's try to implement this same example in a database. So the first thing we do is to create a new database. Click on new, then let's call this library management. You can also add DB for database, but it's optional. So now after creating the database, you will see that you will have to create a table, because there is no table found in the database here. That's how the message says. So a database is made up of tables. So here we are talking about the type of database called relational database. So if you search what a relational database is, you will see that is a way of structuring information in tables. So relational databases are made up of tables, and the tables are made up of columns and rows. So here you can see we are going to create a new table. In this case, these are the books, so we need to create a books table. So create, and now the first column or the first field in a table, so here we are talking about the relational database type of database. So in this type of database, every table has to have a primary key or a primary column. It looks something like this, so a unique identifier of these columns. So we can have like the same data in all in these all columns, but not this column. So this column, the first column, has to be unique. So the way you achieve this, you have to declare it as ID, book ID, and then you will come here, click auto increment, and what this does, it increments this first row, so it adds +1 +1 +1 without you having to worry about it or trying to enter it by yourself. So it will do it automatically. That's why you have ticked auto increment. And then you will come here, add other remaining columns, so category, title, author, and give them their type, their characters. So you put the length, you just type in manually, just because not the first time I've put this in these fields. And then you have your table right here, but we forgot another column, and it's called, and then you make it also like this, and you add. Now as you can see, the table has all the columns as we have in our spreadsheet. So now let's insert data as it is here in the spreadsheet. So the way we're going to do it is click here on the insert tab, and then we are going to leave this first column blank, because we have said that the first column is auto increment, which means it's going to be incrementing by itself. So the data here will be filled by this database management system. So let's try to enter some data. Intro to C, and put here intro to C++. And then here, if you have few rows, you are going to add others. Let's say intro to Java, and then click go. Now you can see that this is what our database management system has done behind the scene. It has written and executed this query, and the database management system is here. It's running on this port, as we'll see in other lessons how to interact it with the PHP. But for now, if you click here browse, you will see your data here inside the table we've created. And this is basically how you will create your table in database. So now that we have seen what a database is and how it works, so let's get back to the definition, which says a database is an organized collection of structured information. And the definition continues, but let's try to understand what this organized collection is. So we have different types of databases, and one of which is popular, is called relational database. So let's try to see a definition of a relational database. it is a way of structuring information in tables. So relational databases store data in tables, and those tables consist or is made up of columns and rows. It's busy. It's the same as the spreadsheet. It has the same pattern, but as we saw, the database is structured, and it's kind of strict, so you can't come and try to align everything by yourself here. And another point, when we are trying to understand the databases, is that the databases are designed for a special type of people who have the skills concerning the databases on how to work with them. This is different from the spreadsheets, which are designed mainly for end users to help them organize their data with ease. So I can take these and try to align it as I want. So just can cut it and paste it here, and you will have your table moved there. But this is not what you can do here in this database management system. So you can't come and just try to align everything as you want. It's true that you can try to sort data like this, but it's pretty limited when we are trying to use it as a spreadsheet. So that's the very important difference between database and spreadsheet, is that they are different. They are designed for different cases, or also for different people. So the database is uh, also designed for systems, to run on systems, which means it has the capability to work with a large amount of data, and it is optimized to be to execute instructions faster on data, which is different from the spreadsheets, because spreadsheets, as the data increases, they will start to lag, they will start to work improperly. Basically they will slow down, which is not what we want. So as someone who is studying the course related to computers and systems, where you will be dealing and operating on different infrastructures, then we need to have uh, the understanding of databases, because they are designed to be used by people with those technical skills. So that's a very important point when you're trying to approach database, is that the database is really designed for the larger facilities, for the professional daily usage. And it's also used by programs, or it interacts with the programs, which you can achieve using spreadsheet. You can also access spreadsheets, but it's not that fast like databases. And we'll see why databases are fast, because of their query language, which is very optimal and is very straight to the point. So for now, you just take that the spreadsheets are really designed for all types of users. You don't need to be very skilled, though you have to also learn it, but they are actually applied in different places. So the next step is to take this table we have here and try to make it in the database way, or in other words, how you will do it in real life, because this is not how you will make this is not the structure of how you make it in in a database like we did here. We're trying to learn how we can create our table and insert some data. You can even let's talk about another point. So when you see here, we have programming 4 times and we have languages 4 times. This is the category, and you have here the author is being repeated, and this is basically 2 columns which are being repeated. Or if I were to add another column here which says borrowed, another here, let's say put yes for some columns and then put no for other columns. And if someone borrowed the book, you have to put also the date when he will return the book. So let's say we have the same date for all these people, and here we don't have any data. So as you can see, this is also repeated, this is also repeated, and this is how you would do it if you have used this kind of structure. And this is not a recommended way of doing the database. So this brings up to the point of how you know how to separate some data to avoid this repeating of data. So as you can see here, we have some repeating data also here, also here, and this borrowed is with this other column. So if this one is repeating, it means this also will be somewhere repeating. So now if you have this, and let's say you also put the author, you put the address of the author, one column the left, and then you put author address. So let's say you put for this author Mike, this one may be then put it as like this. And if I flipped it, but let's say the data is like this, you can see that this also is repeating. So what does this mean? This means that this is going to be one table, this is also going to be another table, this is also going to be another table. But for now, let's just remove this to make it simple. But we have this table, and this table, because we are trying to avoid this repeating of data. And so how we are going to achieve this, let's first come here and go on operation. If it's not zoomed, you will see it like this, operation. Then you come to drop or delete table, and then you delete it. So now back to our database, let's create it another time, but now it's going to be kind of different. Instead of category, we're going to use category ID, and it's going to be an integer. And the other one is title. The title will remain the same. Let's put like this, and then you can even make it 100 if you want to record long name. And then we also have the author and author address, which is going to be in author table. So we're going to say author ID, last one is ISBN. It's going to be character. Let's put 10. Let's try to save. And now we have a kind of different table. Now anywhere except here we have IDs. We have to create the different tables. So now let's have the category table created. So as I said, that every table in a database has to have a unique column or field, which is ID. So it has to have it. So have category name, and then let's just do it and save it like this. Don't know where this is coming from. Come to the database, try to create a new table. Try to make it auto increment. Save again and see. Now we have our category. Let's also try to create author. So author ID, have the author name and the address. Let's try to save it like this, but let's check if we have made it auto increment. Now we can save. Now we have our 3 tables. Now I know that this might be confusing at first, but let's try to fill in some data and I will try to explain what's going on here. So we are going to put in some data, but it's 2 authors, Mike and Sean. So come here and then put the address, and then John, and then you save. Have also categories, 2 categories. Go to insert and put here put click go. And now when you are going to the books, if you are going to insert a new book, so you can see here it's category ID. This means if I try to put in like programming like this, it's going to give me an error because the type of this column is an integer. So what does this mean? So as you can see here, we have our category. Try to open it on the other tab. Have 2 categories, but they have their IDs, category ID 1, 2, and here we have also category ID, which means if I need to say that it's programming, I will use 1. If I need to say that it's languages, then I will use 2. So this means that my book is 1, intro to C, and then the author is also the same. If I need to say that it's Mike, I will use 1, and if I need to say that it's 2, it's John, I will use 2. Then here put 1, then the rest is the same. Then the other book, intro to C++, author is 1, no, let's make them 4. Now the category, let me make it English level 5. Then the author is 2 also. Let's put this. Then let's say this is French. Level 2. Then save it like this. Integer value book ID. So the book ID, as you can see, we didn't make it auto increment, that's why it's showing all those things. So you save, then you come to the database. Let's try to empty it so that we can go ahead and insert some data again. Insert. Let me do 2 books now. 2. Author is 2. And then you save. Now as you can see, we have our 2 rows of data. We have 2 books, but now if you look at the category, it's 1 instead of programming. And what does this help us? It reduces how we repeat data. So now if I need to say that it's programming, I will use 1. And if I need to say this this is the author Mike and he lives here, you put the address of the or the phone number or something, you just put it aside on this in this table. So this is the way that relational databases work, because as long as we have this category ID here and it's also here in the categories table, this means that they have like a relationship. So also this author, this ID here is also here, so this is a relationship. So this is what we mean when we say this is what it means when you say relational database. So they have relationship. So instead of repeating data, you have to separate them and link them with these IDs. So this is what the relational databases look like. Let's get back to how you know when to split the tables or to divide one table into many tables. So we saw that you know when to divide data into groups or tables. You know when to do that when you have this repeating data. So that's when you know I need to create this on its own. The category has to be a table on its own. And when you say that you will need to input the author many times, for example, when he has like 30 books, you will know that he will need his own book. You know that this needs to be a table on its own. So that's how you know when to create the tables or when to divide one single idea into many tables, is that you will try to avoid the repeating of data. But if it's a few things, you can say you are going to make a table. Let's say for if I had this column only without any other data related to it, and let's say it's only true or false, tf. So this way I will not need to create this table because there is no need, because this true false is the same as the ID I'll be putting in. So for the columns, it's not like this 1 2 1 2 1 2, so it's the same. So this way there's no need. But if the borrowed date has other things such as who borrowed the book, when did he borrow, when will he return the book, then you know that all those information has to go in the borrowed table. So that's the very important point when you are doing the database, because you will need to divide the database into different tables and you have to be accurate. So if we continue with the slides, we see the difference between the database and the spreadsheet. That's what we were trying to say in this whole session. And then, but as you can see here, data integrity is a strong advantage when working with databases. So data integrity basically means that you can't store different types of data in the same field. So as you can see here, when you're creating a table in a database, they will ask that you provide the type and also the length of your type. So this means if I have integer, I can't put characters, which can bring some errors. And but in the spreadsheet, if here I have 1, I can add a. It just styles it in a different way to show that it's not the same as numbers, but that can't prevent you from making some typos or errors in your document. So the database is really strict when it comes to the types. So let's continue with the slides. Now these are the examples of the databases you can create. So there is library management, as we were seeing, a very simple unit of it, a simple table, but there are other tables you can implement. There are student information system, where you have the student information in one table, including the names, contact information, and then you will have the courses table and the grades table. We just understand why you need to create these. It's because you not have to repeat the courses. If 100 people study in the same course, you're not going to be repeating the course. You're going to create another table for it. And then we have the others, but let's try to see this management system we're looking at. This is how one can implement it in a spreadsheet, and this is an example of how it looks in a spreadsheet, but this is how it looks in a database. So we saw that when you create a table, you have to give it an ID, like the books have book ID, authors have author ID, types have type ID. So these IDs are the one connecting them. So to know that this table has a relationship with this one, is this table has to have a book ID in it, or this one has to have a student ID in it. But you can't have student ID in books, because the books so the students are the one who borrowed the books. The books are not the one who borrowed the students. So that's how it works. And this is how you can break down this system, the library system, including the borrow table. You can see everything here, so you can try to implement it. So the next one is the student management system. You can see how it looks in the spreadsheet and how you can also do it when you are dealing with tables. You have the student table on its own, the courses, and the relationship between student and the course. You will put it here. You have the contacts. You have any other informations in other tables. So this is it for this session. One thing that we can close without covering is SQLs. If you search SQL, you need to come to this website, and you see that SQL is a standard language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data in databases. So SQL is a standard language, which means it's like a popular language. It's a standard, it's a normal way of communicating to different database systems, as you can see here. So SQL stands for a structured query language, and it's a language which is used to tell the database system what to do. So for example, if we needed to add another book, you will come here to SQL and try to say insert into books, the name of the table as it is here, and then you say values. So the first column, as you can see, is book ID, and we said we don't put anything. Then the category ID, let's say it's 1, and the title, say Intro to Java. You can even use lowercase. Intro to Java, and then the author ID is 1, and then you can put something here. So if it's characters, you will need to put the quotes here, but if it's the integer, you put numbers. For here we just used empty quotes to show that we are not inserting anything here. So if I click go, you can see that one row is inserted. Now if we come here, we see that Introduction to Java is inserted here. Now the next query we can use is this select. So if you say maybe select title from books. Now if I run this query, you see that it only selects the title, but if you get back and say select, if you put star, you say select all, then if you click, you see that all has come here. You can even say select all from book where author ID equals 1. It means the books for Mike only. Then you come here and click go, and you see that author ID is only 1. So now we have seen two types of operations here. So we saw retrieving data, so it's this selecting data to see the data, to select data from database, and we have also saw how to store data. That is the insert I was showing. You can even simply place here, and you see the syntax of how you can do it. You can just come here and try to edit everything here. Now the reason for specifying also the columns is that you can mix them. You can also omit like this, and let's say this one, and you come and remove it and remain with this one. Then it will know that this is this, this is this, and this is this. But if it's not like that, you can try to remove it and just input them manually. But this is trying to store something in a database. So what we haven't seen is update. So you can say update update books sets, let's say title equal intro to C programming. So where book ID, no, it's book ID like this, book ID equals 1. So we know that the first book is intro to C, but we are going to try to, so as you can see here, it's intro to C, book ID is 1. But if we try to update it and click go, if we come to browse, you will see that it has changed to intro to C programming. So this is how you basically use the query language to interact with your database. So if you are writing a web application, or you're trying to do a script which is going to be storing data in a database, you're going to be needing to use this SQL, because you can tell the program to come and click like this, like you're doing with this visual interface. So it will definitely use the SQL language. So the last one is delete from books, where maybe book ID equals 2. So if I do this, they'll ask if you want to proceed, and you do it. So the last query, let's try select selector from books, inner join category, where books dot category ID equals category dot category ID. So right now we are trying to use that. Now we are going to try to use the relationship. So the category ID in the books, where we said category ID, we are saying let it be equal to the category, saying where category ID in the books equals the category ID in the category table. So we can even try to be specific here and say category dot name, trying to select the name in the category, and say books dot title. So now if we click go, you'll see that it will only bring the name from the category, because it is taking it from the category but using the ID that I showed. This ID, let me try to, so it's using this ID and comparing it to this ID, and it knows that it has to bring this name, as we've said here, as we've described here. It says category name, so you're trying to say this is the column from this table, this is the column from this table, and then compare this column from this table to this column. Then if they match, you bring these columns. That's what we see here. So that's the basics of SQL and database in general. But the very important thing to take out is that the databases are designed for systems and for database administrators and for like special type of users. They are not just for everyone. So databases are not for everyone, but everyone can learn the Excel and try to arrange his data and sort his data and do the reports, everything in the spreadsheet. But when it comes to scalability, when you try to scale your project to let's say a big company or a big facility, that way you will need a database. And when you're trying to deal with developing some softwares, you need databases because they are more technical and they are optimized to run very fast, and they can handle large amount of data. So thank you for watching this lesson. See you.